Howdy, howdy, and welcome to My Bloody Judy with your final forgets, myself, Zachary Patton Garcia.
And Ian Carlos Crawford. And filling in today for Zachary Patton Garcia.
Colin Smith. Hello.
Hi, Colin. We're here to talk Yellowjackets, season 3, episode 5. What'd you think of the episode overall, Colin?
I liked it. It was really good. The ending left me very queasy, and I didn't like that at all.
Yeah.
But we'll get there.
I think this season, it's been really good. I think this is back to season 1 type of
I think it's picked up a lot more from season 2 had some slumpy.
Yeah, and it's wild to be I love this, but there are so many plot lines that I keep forgetting that they've fully dropped. Reminding us that Ty has a child and her other side in this episode.
To be fair, Ty also forgot she had a family for most of the season. So
also a good point. It's the show is remembering these things.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember in Magicians season 3? Yeah, it's All That Josh, the episode, the music, one of my favorite episodes where they all sing. But at the end, I remember reading an interview about that episode with the writers. And you know how the whole plot is they all forgot about Josh?
Mm-hmm.
The writers admitted that they forgot about Josh. They were like, we forgot about his character when we realized we didn't explain why he wasn't there, even though he was supposed to.
Yeah.
But because he was just reoccurring, they just wrote so much that he didn't fit in.
Right.
So while that was the plot of the episode, that also was the writers had forgotten about him. And I keep wondering that with this. I'm like, do they forget about these things? They're like, oh shit, right. Yeah, put that in this episode because we haven't mentioned that in a season and a half.
Especially because it was such a huge thing in season 1 that she was trying to juggle her family and her kid and her life was falling apart, and then she just ran off the van and life's good again.
Yeah. So yeah, the sometimes I guess because there's just so many characters, it's easy for that to happen, Magicians.
Absolutely.
But it's still this season's been so good. And the mysteries the mystery hasn't been pivotal, but it's been more fun. Last season, it felt I didn't really know what the mystery was once they got to the wellness camp. They were just trying to figure out what's happening, but
yeah, it was, I guess, I guess they just found it odd that Lottie had restarted her cult in this whole wellness camp because they all thought she was still in a psychiatric clinic, right?
Yeah. But all right, so let's start. We can start with Ty and Van. They have the smallest story in this in the present day. They're out to eat. They're saying how nothing. Ty's well, nothing we've been through makes sense.
No, but I think Van is correct in questioning what she was doing for that hour because I don't think she killed Lottie. I think she went back and killed that man.
Which man?
Before they went to Central Park, the one that they were stalking because he picked up the Queen of Hearts.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And then Van was like, "No, we probably shouldn't do this." I think Ty went back and killed him.
I think Ty killed Lottie. Ty is my number 1 suspect, but Shauna's inching up to number 2. And I think Walter will figure it out. I actually do think
he will.
The one that's gonna figure it out.
Yeah, I think him and Misty will by the end of the season come back together and piece what they have.
Because I'm Misty, what are you even really that mad at him for?
Because he said they weren't friends. Which
because she has now adopted that as true.
Right.
So but yeah, Van and Ty.
Hard to admit you're wrong, but we'll get
true. To it. Van and Ty, this is after they've met at Misty's. Van does question her, and the thing is, I don't think Van would be that mad. They all are pretty forgiving of murder.
Yeah, I don't know that she'd be mad. I think it'd be more why are you keeping it a secret from me? If you did this,
yes,
I don't care. But I don't think she thinks Ty killed Lottie. I think she thinks something else is going on because when she questions her, oh, you think, and actually when I rewatched it again today, when she first questions her and Ty's oh, you think I snuck off and killed Lottie? Ha ha ha. And rushed back to meet you and laughed about it. But that's exactly the way Misty spoke to Callie when she's oh, what? You think we all got stranded in the woods and ate each other?
Yes, it is. So like that's why that didn't help convince me she did not kill
Fair.
Lottie.
But then Van's like, no, I just think, and then the phone call comes in and cuts her off before she could say what she
Right.
really wanted to talk about, I guess.
And like she does say like, well, it's New York. And like, yes, she wouldn't have been able to do all that in an hour then. If the theory is she had to go there to arrange everything, that would have taken so fucking long.
She
Like
can probably do that through her cell phone now while she's throwing Lottie down the stairs.
exactly. I feel like that hour is enough time to throw Lottie down the steps and go to Central Park. Nothing else.
Mm-hmm.
Or go back to that man's apartment and murder him because I feel
Right.
like she would do the murder real quick.
She murdered someone.
Yes,
We can agree on that.
I do think yes. So Simone has called her the character we forgot. We haven't seen her in a while.
I think the start of season 2.
I think like whatever car crash episode, which was like
Yeah.
halfway through season 2 or towards the beginning. Yeah.
But she definitely hasn't been in this season.
Yeah. It's weird. It's weirdly abrupt, right? Because it's kind of just like, and then it's like also over pretty quickly. Like the van sits like right next to her. I was like, girl, maybe don't. Like, and she's just like, so you're her.
Right? I don't think any of them have proper social cues and etiquette.
No, they don't. And like, understandably so. They're all kind of stunted at whatever age. Shauna and Ty, I think, are the best at pretending they're not, but they are very much so. Like,
oh, they are. I'd say they're the most messed up of all of them.
yeah, but I think they're the best at when there's like a group, they're the best at pretending that they are well adjusted.
Yeah.
Like they go into like prim and proper older person pretty well, but it's all like a total farce. Neither of them actually have that. In fact, I would say Misty's probably the most well adjusted because she knows who she is and she isn't always pretending.
Yes. Yeah. I think Van is just she's the same person that she was as a kid. It's just she's so aloof in that way that
yeah, because like sometimes we see the crazy come out in Van, but not as much.
No, I think she's always more along for the ride than like initiating something the way Ty and Shauna are.
Yeah, because Van doesn't even say anything to Simone, right? Like Simone just says like you're her, and she kind of looks at her.
Yeah, I mean she doesn't really have time to say anything either because then they leave immediately.
Ty like comes over and they're like the son wants to leave and
we flash back later to it when we actually see it from Ty's point of view, and I'm assuming it's because the kid looks at her and it's like, oh, you are like she's gone like dark Ty now.
I'm curious.
My assumption is like he looked at her and was like, oh no, you look like my mom, but you're not my mom.
That's right, because he has a little bit of what was it, Jacob in Lost? He has a little bit of that where like there's something there, but like
yeah, and because it's just weird because Simone says like he's the reason that we're doing this is because he's been asking for you, and as soon as he looks at her, he's like, no, we're good.
Yeah, he's like, not you, no. Because what do you think? Do you think is she dark Ty? Has she been like most of this time?
I feel like probably.
You think so?
Yeah, I just for the first season where she was so intent on trying to preserve her family, and now after she gets back with Ben, she just like completely doesn't seem to care. So I wonder if there is something like either she just has decided like, well, fate is bringing us back together, the wilderness is bringing us back together, whatever, I'm gonna just go with it, or somewhere along the way she just gave into like the darkness within. And
because I really wasn't thinking that, and then I'm like, are we supposed maybe that's like a ruse and he's just asking that in little kid sense of like, I don't see you anymore. Are you not my mommy? But then Ty does pretty abruptly say like, let's move.
Right.
Which like then led credence to the theory of this is not really because like that's weird, right? Just to be like, you know what? I think we should move. My son just said he didn't think I was his mom anymore, so let's move away.
So I guess I'm not, and we're done.
Like, well, that'll help him not think you're not his mom.
Yeah.
We want to talk about Misty or Shauna next.
Let's do Misty. I feel like theirs is kind of interweave because half of the episode is them kind of spy versus spying.
Like the worst way. She's identified Lottie's body. I like that she knew the coroner because fucking of course she does.
Yeah, well, I assume they're in the same like citizens detective chat groups, but I love how she when she's like, "You're gonna give me the stuff because if you don't, I'm going to talk about this thing that you did." And he's like, "Well, you can't prove it." She's like, "Oh, you know who I am.
Yeah.
You know I wouldn't do this if I couldn't prove it."
As like a what is she, fellow citizen detective or
Yeah,
whatever. Um yeah, and again, this is why I think Misty's the most well-adjusted because she's like straightforward with her crazy. She's
right.
not there's no like trying to hide.
There'd be
There's no
no subtle
pretending.
thread or like
Yeah.
I'll get you later or anything like that. Straight up like, you know who I am, I know who you are.
I know you sold this watch on eBay.
Let's just skip to the end where you agree
Yeah.
with me.
And he does. I mean,
Hmm.
which also was probably the best thing for him to do
Right.
because Misty might have just killed him then.
Right.
So I'm like, well, now you're gonna fall on a needle that's like bleach going into your system, and now I
Yeah.
get the stuff anyway.
Right.
I just, Colin, I love Misty so
I love her so
much.
much. I don't care. She could murder all of them and I would still be on her side.
And like, I get more mad at the other ones when they do murder. And Misty, I'm like, well,
Well, we support women's rights and wrongs,
Misty actually
and
has feelings. Ty and Shauna like don't have
no.
feelings. Like, I thought, I mean, we'll get to Shauna in a bit, but like Shauna did have a moment of I was like, huh.
It
It's
was,
almost like
I wrote in
she's
my notes, like, this is her first human moment in this series, maybe?
yeah, yeah. And I felt like it made her be like, oh shit, I haven't been doing human emotions, have I?
Right.
But Misty does. And Misty, while she's very fucking weird in her kitten sweaters, she's
I also love that she's still wearing Nat's jacket.
yeah, it's me. I like that she after the meeting she puts it on as if like I'm gonna put on my Nat coat and
Yeah.
that'll get me places.
Well, she
Uh
says she's going to find who did it because that's what Natalie would want.
and
And then
like
she storms out of her own house. Is perfect.
I love when Van is like, did she just storm out of her own house? And then she walks back and she's like, yeah, you guys need to leave.
Yeah.
And Misty also, I feel like with them, particularly, she falls back into her role that she
Right.
was as a kid, which
100%.
makes sense. I mean, when I moved back in with my parents, I was like, I feel like I'm acting like I'm 16 again.
Hmm.
And not in like a sexy Zac Efron way. Uh, but like it makes sense. And they it's funny because like they're all the outcasts, right? They're the survivors or whatever. But when they're with Misty, they are mean girls, right?
Oh,
Like,
absolutely. I do like when Shauna, like, just in that first scene when Misty's like, we need to find out who did it. And Shauna's like, well, no one knows where you were. You probably did it because Van's like, well, that would track as something you would do. And the look on Misty's face of like, what do you mean?
it's like, how dare you say that that's something I would do, even though I
Right?
have done it numerous
Exactly.
times.
Even though I absolutely would do it if any of you asked me to do it for you.
Yeah, I don't understand why they're all taking offense to murder accusations when they all like
Have murdered?
they all have done it. Yeah, it's like that's like me or you being mad at one of us calling the other one gay.
Right?
Like
How dare you?
it's like,
Um,
well, yeah, we're all murderers here, so everyone relax. Um, yeah,
Also,
and
when they're like, you have the of the four of them, you have the most like reason because Lottie is the reason Nat's dead. Casually admitting that you threw Lottie out of your house the day before she died.
right, right, and like, so this is why Shauna's because of like Shauna's so and right, we're seeing Shauna in the flashbacks act like this too, where she's just moving forward, even if she realizes she's wrong, she's gonna
Oh, absolutely.
keep on whatever wrong path she's on because she's refusing.
Mhm.
And that's what she's doing here, but I can't tell if it's because she's covering up or if it in both ways, honestly. I can't tell if she's so intent on Coach did it because she did it, or it's just like, I will never admit I'm
I
wrong.
think it's she's
So
just decided Coach has done it and that's it.
because she even had a
I'm
moment during the trial where she was like, "Mm, mm,
Yeah, like he had that little connection with her when he was giving his
yeah.
testimony, I guess. I My thoughts on the fire, I think Ben's vision in the cave is that the fire was an accident. No one said it.
I was wondering that. That's kind of like that's one of my also like it's like Shauna accident Nat are like my like order of things I
The
think.
someone I think it was actually in your Discord posted that they think Travis
Uh,
might be like because his shot at the end when you can hear coach screaming of like he looks a little guilty of right after they ate his brother, maybe he snapped.
that's also
But
true.
I think the vision was just like a spark jumped out of the fireplace, and that's what happened, and that's what you're supposed to be seeing. Because the
Mm.
wilderness obviously wants Ben alive.
Because Van even said to Thaisa, I think it was in the first episode this season, maybe the second, when Ty's like, I should be the leader. And Van's like, it's not that I don't think you could be the leader, it's that I don't think this place wants rules. It just
Mm-hmm.
wants chaos. And I do think that is maybe the only like fully accurate thing one of them has said all season in the flashbacks.
Right.
Um, Colin,
Yes.
I probably asked you this before. Do you think this is supernatural or mass delusion?
So in season one, I was all in on just they're delusional, they're going crazy, they're starving. There's clearly something more going on at this
There has
point.
to be,
There
right? There
has to
has
be.
to be. I will be annoyed if it is mass delusion because it feels like there's too many
There's
things.
just too much. Like, like I said, in season one, I think the only one that was really odd was when the way the camera moved when stuff was happening to roast Jackie.
Right.
But everything
Yes.
else could be easily
It was
explained
very
as
Evil
like they're
Dead. Like,
just crazy.
yeah.
Now it's too much of like the wind is blowing, people are hearing noises, like weird visions in the cave, which sure we can chalk it up to a gas leak,
Also, what
but but you're having shared visions.
and the fact that Coach and Mari heard the screaming in the cave at the
Right,
same time that they were all hearing it makes me feel like, well, that can't be a mass delusion because they're away from everyone, and
right.
Coach isn't on the
And
same level as them
and if
of like
Mary was
insane.
hearing it but Coach wasn't, it'd be one thing.
Right. Or vice versa. But
Right.
like they both heard it.
Yeah. So I do think there's something weird going on out there now.
Yeah, no, I absolutely do too. And the fact that they still like lending to what I said about Shauna, the fact that when Lottie was talking about it in front of Shauna and Shauna's like, no, it's fake, and is just like adamant that it's fake, we now see that Shauna, once she decides something, it doesn't matter even if there's like
Right.
full evidence in front of her face, she's gonna just stick with what she said earlier.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that Lottie and even like Van and Ty kind of are like, yeah, like Van and Ty, like, give that man the card and follow him. They go to the ice cream place and see the fucking wolf. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like at this point it has to. Otherwise, I feel like I won't like the.
I'd buy Mass Delusion if there wasn't also stuff happening in the present.
Yeah, yeah,
And I know
right.
none of them have seen therapists, so like
Yeah,
maybe, but there's too much still happening in the present for it to be just something in the woods.
I think so. And like for like Ty and Van to have like a system of like leave a card here, see who picks it up. Then that
Mm-hmm.
like I don't know. The fact that there's like a system to it makes me think like, yeah, there's still things going on. And then they see the wolf with the, what is it, like a rabbit or whatever? That's
Mm-hmm.
like, yeah. Anyway, so
It's far off topic.
yeah, Misty kicks them all out of her house. She puts on her nat jacket. Um, she she goes to the corner. We already mentioned that. What does she do after that? Oh,
So
then
she
she
digs through Lottie's stuff and doesn't find the cell phone.
right. Um, does she call the coroner or just call some random
No, I
other?
think she called the coroner again.
Okay, okay. He says that there wasn't a cell phone on her.
Mm-hmm.
She realizes she needs to go. How does she know where Lottie is? That just like she knew where she was?
She because she first goes to the scene where she died, the stairwell. So I
But
think
that's
she's
it.
hoping that she'd find something there. And then in talking to
Right. Oh, right, right, right.
the concierge or whatever, she realizes, oh, Lottie was living here.
Also, isn't it weird that Lottie fell in like a like employee access only stairwell?
And that it's still not locked.
Yeah.
Yes,
Like
I wrote that in my notes. I was like, someone died there yesterday and you didn't
there,
lock this up. There's no
there's
police tape.
nothing.
There's nothing.
Yeah. And
Well, I
like
guess they said they ruled it an accident, which
I guess if that
her
happens now.
father clearly implies that it wasn't.
Yeah. I'm like, not to be bleak, but when my roommate died, his room had a fucking police tape on it for like a month, and he died of like he had a
Right.
diabetic coma. Like that was like a month of police tape in my apartment covering a room. And that was like,
Hmm.
they knew what it was right away.
Right.
So yeah, all
Like,
of that made it seem even shadier, right?
yeah, I feel like there's more to process at the crime scene too. Because like when Misty goes in, she's like, there's fingernail marks on the
And I guess
wall.
you could be like, well, as she fell, but like also that's not a big, it's like what, 5 stairs?
Hmm. Like,
That seems like it would be hard to die from that if it's not a, like I've fallen down a staircase before and been, oh, my leg hurts.
right.
Um, so like 5 steps feels like,
Yeah, it was very far down.
yeah. Do you know, the 2 times I fell down the steps were in front of my mother. And last time was when I was taking care of her. I fell down the steps and I like yelled and like cursed when I hit the bottom. My mom was like our staircase is literally like staircases here, you walk here, and this is the kitchen. I fell, my mom's at the kitchen table, and I'm like, oh, my leg hurts so much. And I limped into the kitchen and I was like, didn't you hear me yell? And she was like, no, what are you talking about? And I was like, well, I'm glad if I were dead, you would not have known because you didn't hear me yell or fall down the steps. And the other time was when we were down the shore. There was a storm and the staircase was outside to like go downstairs and the elevator wasn't working. So I wanted to make sure my mom was, true death on steps because it was like she was still like older.
Hmm.
Um, and as I'm making sure she's okay, my foot slips in a puddle and I slipped all the way down a landing and another flight of steps. And it hurt so bad because it was like concrete steps. And my mom was like, oh my God, are you okay? And I was like, yeah, I think I just hurt. Like, I think I'm going to have a bruise. And then she
Hmm.
started laughing so hard she cried. So those 2 times I've fallen down the steps.
Yeah, so you survived.
I was fine. I think both times I maybe had a bruise on like my thigh. Um,
Right.
so and I do like that the doorman, she's like, thanks for nothing, Cliff. And then he's like, also, here's a lollipop. And that's when she gets it.
Hmm.
I like that Misty is like, she does get shitty, right? Like,
Oh,
if you were
absolutely.
not
If you're of no use to
serving,
her,
yeah, like you got to serve a purpose.
yeah,
The only people that don't need to are the Yellowjacket survivors.
right.
Those,
Because they do not serve any purpose to Misty. She is only useful to them.
no. I was glad she said to the 3 of them, "You are not my friend if you think I did this."
Right.
Even though it wouldn't be crazy if any of them, like any of them, could be the murderer, and it's like, okay,
Yeah,
it's not
that tracks.
unbelievable. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um. So she goes up to visit Lottie's dad. We learn that. Did you think I was like, I wonder if he doesn't have dementia? And this is like but then I mean, we learned he
He
did. But
clearly does
but at
as yeah.
first I was wondering, I was like, ooh, I wonder if this is like a thing. But then it was not.
Yeah, no.
Um,
Well, and Cliff does mention he has like health problems and stuff. So
he does, yeah. Um, because he doesn't know Misty. Like immediately, he's like, I've never seen you
no.
before.
I do like she's like, oh, you're such a card. And he's like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
Because
she's so
Misty's
good.
good with that because she works in a nursing home. So
Yeah.
like she knows how to play old people.
Yes, yes. There's one thing she doesn't do a lot of things, but that is one of the things she knows how to do. Um, she's Mary from the 5th floor, of course.
Mhm.
But what does he say that like the person at the station, it's like they'll lose their job
She
if it wasn't ruled an accident, right?
yeah, so she talks her way in and then gets the receipt out of the Lottie's jacket for the bank withdrawal. And then when she's like, oh, like maybe she saw someone and someone pushed her, and then he says, no, whoever down at the station knows that their foundation will get no more money from me if he says otherwise. So like clearly someone was with her.
Right. I feel like
Which
it did
why
make
would
me
he want to
wonder.
cover it up?
I was just about to say that, Colin, because like unless he did it, like I'm like, wouldn't he want his daughters? Even in his like dementia-ridden brain, wouldn't he still be
Hmm.
like, yeah, fuck whoever killed my daughter, let's get
Right.
rid of them? So that leads me to believe does have something to do with, like you said, the cult. I'm
Hmm.
wondering, like maybe it has nothing to do with Yellowjackets. It's more to do with the like wellness retreat place.
Yeah, I feel like we're done with that though.
I do kind of feel like we're done with that.
So
uh, so she hears a voice, and it is clearly Elijah Wood. She goes in the living room. Walter and Shauna are pretending to be.
internet technicians.
I
I
love
love
that.
when they're like, "Oh yeah, we worked on yours. You had all that internet porn."
And what did she say? Shauna's like something Detective Citizen. Like, it's Citizen Detective,
Hmm.
idiot.
And she's like, of all the people to have a rebound with, Sean's like, that's disgusting.
I do like Misty being mean to Shauna because Shauna does deserve it.
Oh, absolutely. 100%.
I say this all the time. It's because Melanie Linsky is so likable that I do often forget Shauna's like actually a really bad
She's a
person.
terrible person. Like the two actresses playing her are nailing it and like fantastic character. Awful human being.
Yeah, I said this last episode. As annoying people on Twitter, you don't still have a Twitter, do you?
I deleted it.
Okay, I do still have a Twitter, unfortunately. Every time I log in, it's like the worst 20-year-old fans of a show with a avi of someone from that show making the worst takes. And so many of them are trying to like explain Shauna's behavior away and being like, oh no, the poor thing. And it's like, you can like this character.
You can like her.
Melanie
She's been
Linsky
through a
is
lot.
so likable, but like she's a bad person.
She's a horrible person. If you knew her in real life, you would not want to associate with her.
No, murders alone. Like, and like, we don't need, that's the thing that bothers me is like people need to moralize like character. You can like this character. But like, there's no pretending
No.
that she's a good person. Like I think she loves Jeff and Callie as much as she is capable of loving someone, which plays back into what she says later. But like even them, she's not treating them great.
No.
No. So they split up in the penthouse. They have like a little bit of an argument.
I love when Lottie's dad stops her from going out into the bedrooms. And then the internet people are like, oh, we need to go back there. And he's about to let them. She's like, when I had my internet done, they said they couldn't do anything inside. It had to be outside. Yeah. And immediately he's like, well, you heard the lady, get out.
I do like them like slip sliding around this like penthouse and like this like old man that maybe doesn't know with his like caretaker who like truly doesn't give a shit.
She does not care what's going on.
She's like, yeah, you're all annoying, but not my problem. He's going to be rude to me. She finds Lottie's phone in Lottie's bedroom and turns it on, and we see the little like factory resetting hello. And then Walter walks in and he says he cloned it. I don't understand. I mean, I understand, but I wish Misty had just been like, all right, sure, give it to me, because I'm like, let's streamline this, girls. Like,
no, I think she doesn't want to give him the satisfaction of being like, you were right.
Yeah, definitely.
Which, fair. But I do, and I mean, we'll get into this side when we talk about Shauna, but when he was like, Misty loves a challenge, that's what I'm giving her. Like, he's clearly misread this situation, because when she was like, why the fuck are you doing this to me?
Yeah.
Like, aren't we having fun?
I was like, oh, his social cues are worse than Misty's. What does she say? Like, I can't believe I let someone so despicable bathe Caligula.
Which, like, I guess is the most intimate thing she can provide someone.
Right. I do like when Walter earlier when he's like, I know what make Misty's toes curl, and Shauna's like, ugh.
But then when she's like, if you killed Lottie to get Misty's toes curled, she's like, I would believe it.
She storms out, she sees Shauna and says, you two deserve each other. Let's talk Shauna. She is following Misty at first. I knew it was Walter following her. Like, I was like, this has to be Walter, right?
I was hoping it was going to be the mysterious whoever's been messing with them. I presume I'm with, everyone else that's been on here so far that it's Melissa.
Yeah.
That's who I was hoping we were finally going to get to. But no, it's Walter. Yeah. I also refuse to believe that Misty wouldn't notice that happening behind her.
I thought we were going to get Misty being like, yeah, and I knew you were following me.
Right.
Because Shauna wasn't being like...
She was immediately behind her. There was no like distance. She's not in a different vehicle. Misty knows her car.
Yeah, I would say Misty would know her car like immediately.
So like,
I feel like Misty would know her license plate number too.
Right. So I feel like just even like a quick glance in her mirrors when she's like getting ready to make a turn or something, she'd be like, oh, Shauna's behind me. That's weird.
Yeah. Or be like, Shauna's following me because she murdered Lottie. Like,
right. Which I do love when Walter finally gets out and she's like, why are you following me if you're trying to investigate Lottie? And he's like, come on now, Shauna.
um, I do like the idea of her and Walter teaming up because
I think it was a fun little team up.
yeah, I mean I wish Shauna hadn't been so nasty to Misty because I like that dynamic of her begrudgingly being like, yeah, you're good at this, so I'm gonna have to deal with you. Fucking
Right.
fine. Like I do like that dynamic a lot. Um, and I worry we won't get it back, but I do think Misty will easily forgive them if they even the most phoned in apology, she would forgive them, right?
Correct. 100%.
And I feel like we have to get that
I
eventually.
Yeah, I assume by the end of this season when whoever killed Lottie's revealed, like if it's one of them, I guess they'll deal with it. But if it's none of the Yellowjackets, they'll, you know,
Yeah.
forgive and move on. And in season 4, they'll have some rift again. And
um I like that he says something. What does he say to Shauna? He's like, "You're perceptive," and she's like, "Did you just admit to killing Lottie?" And he's like,
when
"No, no,
she's
no."
like, um, because he says, I'm following you because, you have a body count, like you did away with Adam. And then she's like, okay, but you and Misty also both have killed people. So like, how do we know you didn't do it? And he's like, oh, now you're asking the right questions. And she's like, so you did it?
And he's like, "No, it's just that's a good question to ask."
Right.
I think Elijah Wood is really good in this character
Oh,
too.
he's
Like he's
fantastic.
about like kind of fucking weird, but like, and his like,
He's so odd. He's so charming though, in his weird, weird ways. I do love throughout when he like things that worked with Misty of like when he's about to explain to her like why it's funny he named his firewall this, and she's like, I really don't care.
Shauna does
She has
not
no
care.
time for this dirty bullshit. Whereas Misty like was like, oh, I know this, and like we'll have a back and forth about it.
Yeah, yeah, he was trying to get that dynamic. It
Mm.
was not gonna happen. So yeah, they end up there too. I like this back and forth here at the I do. I like the penthouse Scooby Dooing
Yeah.
around. Um
I also love that like obviously they have their matching hats. So like Walter clearly has like a full vest, like he's ready, and Shauna's just wearing her like regular like puffy vest. Like,
he had that like ready to go in his car, right?
yeah,
Like
it's like I've impersonated an internet person before. I'm gonna do it again. You're wearing a vest. Let's go.
it made me think of that episode of Angel in season 1 where he suddenly just has that Hawaiian shirt and the like silly hat and he's like
Yes.
doing a bit. Like I was
Yeah.
like, he just has this in his car, but like Walter would. Walter and Misty probably have like 85 different like fake uniform
Yeah.
outfits in their cars. um he then what is it? He's like, here, a sample of my hair. You give me one of yours.
Yeah, because
And
she brings up again that like he probably did this to impress Misty, like to set up a challenge for her, like he says. So he's like, no, no, like here's my DNA. You give me yours.
and right, so that's where I'm like, well, maybe she did it. But I also, again, we also know that Shauna just if she doesn't
She's
want to do it, she's
right.
there's no talking her into something, I feel like.
And I feel like to be fair, giving someone like Walter or Misty a DNA sample that they could then leave at a crime scene,
Right. That's also true. Like they are not
probably not the best
people
idea.
you want having any of your bodily samples that
No,
could incriminate you. Um she storms out of where they're going, then goes
they're
into
just in like the
Lottie's
hallway.
yeah, then goes into Lottie's room. And I did like I liked everything that happens with Shauna here only because it felt like Shauna was like, oh shit, I'm really bad at feeling. Like I feel like
Mhm.
she was having a moment where she's like, am I not a good person
Yeah.
in this bedroom? Because she sees Lottie's bedroom like looks exactly like it hasn't changed from
No, she still has pictures of like the old team and like it's going in there. I guess she sees like, well, at the start when Misty's like, none of you are my friends and all this, and Walter even tells her like, there's friends and then there's friends, and you are not friends with
right.
Misty. And then she gets all upset about it. But like going in there, she's like, maybe I'm not actually good friends because the people who I've been pushing away and been like, these people are awful, clearly still care about
Yeah.
the rest of us.
Yeah. And I do think we needed a little bit of a humanizing moment for Shauna. I
Yeah,
don't know that she'll change much, but I feel like
no.
we
But I
needed
did think the moment with with Lottie's dad, like pretending to be Lottie and giving him some comfort and closure was nice.
Yeah, I really liked and Melanie Linsky is so good. And seeing her kind of like process, oh, I'm an asshole. Like, I just really like that. And I like that, yeah, when the dad comes in and he like thinks she's Lottie and like, what does she say to him? Like, sometimes it's hard to love someone the way they deserve to be loved. Is that what she says?
Yeah, I can't remember. I meant to write down the actual thing, but it's something along those lines. And like, we love the way we can, or like,
And that was like, oh, that's what Shauna does. Like, she loves how
yeah,
she can, which isn't really good at all.
no,
And I do like, yeah, it was like nice of her to give him this moment. It clearly was she was like also telling on herself.
hmm
Um, and like, I don't think I've seen Shauna voluntarily hug anyone.
anyone? No,
And she hugs this man so he can feel good about hugging his daughter. Um, I was really worried he was gonna like come to when they
snap
pulled
out of
him.
it.
Yeah, and be
Yeah,
like, "Who the fuck are you?" I'm glad he did not.
no,
And the nurse can just shrug that off as his dementia, right? Like, oh,
right.
yep, see, thinks he talked to his daughter in her bedroom. She's been dead. Um, but yeah, I did like us without Shauna having to say, "Oh wow, I've been bad." Like, we see that she's like going through it and realizing
Yeah,
it. Yeah. And Melanie Linsky is such a good actor. Ugh. Anyway, let's talk about the flashbacks. Jesus Christ. Akila goes, they're keeping Coach Ben like in the
the
fucking
animal pen,
pen. Yeah. uh,
which like they don't even have anyone there like watching over him. He's I was gonna say he appears to be tied on, but I think that's later after the
I wasn't sure if he was tied
shooting
or
because there
not
was a rope at
because
one point.
yeah.
But like, I get it's a pen, and I get he only has one leg, and it looks like they've taken his crutches. He could probably make his way out if he really wanted to try.
Also, was he shitting his pants?
Maybe.
I was like, what if he has to go to the bathroom? Like,
I don't think they care.
like, are they just like shit your pants? I don't care.
Yeah.
God.
But because he's such a sweet angel of a man, he's like, "Oh, you have that sweet baby goat. Like, you're gonna have to take extra care of him because he's so young and his mother's dead." And like,
Colin, the Coach Ben of it all has made me so mad at all of them. Like Misty and Nat for me are like the only ones that I don't think are like truly fucking terrible at this point because the
mhm.
fact that they all go Akila for me was the most innocent and sweet and she's just like I don't know anything.
I mean, to be fair, she doesn't because like the Quiet Council is doing their thing afterwards. But
It really is quiet counsel.
I do, I do love your Misty and Nat are the only good ones. Misty's the reason that they're still stranded there, and she killed Crystal.
I know, but she
But
had
she doesn't want sweet handsome Ben to die, so
she also has feelings about it. I don't
she
know,
does.
like they're kids and she still has emotion. The rest of them have like no fucking emotions. And
No, no.
I always,
Well,
I
Shauna has
want,
anger.
right. Shauna has one emotion and it's anger. And Shauna has every right to be angry at this point,
Hmm.
but maybe not channeling it the way she is. Like,
No.
where people are going to die. So the quiet council, as you mentioned, is like discussing what to do. Nat says firing squad and that it will have to
Yeah,
be
because they
Aquila.
first are like, let he tried to burn us, let's burn him. And she's like, well, that's torture.
Yeah.
That's not which and then when she says firing squad, and they're like, okay, but who's gonna do it? Because like you're the best shot. Obviously you don't want to do it. I don't know why she wasn't like, okay, well, Shauna, you're the only one that really, really wants him dead. Why aren't you volunteering?
I also was like, tell Shauna she has to do it. Like,
Mm,
because even at the end, Shauna doesn't do the thing. And like,
yeah.
ooh, I hate Shauna so much, Colin. I just fucking hate her. And I feel like I hate younger her more because younger her is
She's not
even,
winning any points at the moment.
no, younger her isn't trying to hide anything, right?
No.
Like, younger her is just like, I'm going to yell at you all. I'm going to be terrible. I'm pushing away this girl that has a crush on me and is being nice to me.
Mm,
Like, adult Shauna at least is like pretending.
right.
Young Shauna is just
No,
mean.
she's just awful.
So Ty draws the King of Hearts. That's the card that means you have to. What does Van call it? Like the suicide? I
She
don't.
calls it the Suicide King.
Why is there a reason for that, or?
I don't know because it's the first time. Because up till now, it's only been the Queen of Hearts that's been important.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
So
Um,
I think maybe it's just because I assume they were going to be like whoever draws the Queen again,
that's
because
what I
that seems to be
thought.
their go-to. But I think she doesn't want to sully the Queen of Hearts with
Mm, maybe.
whatever's going on. Who knows?
Ty and Van
Did,
start practice shooting.
real quick question though, when they were going around drawing their cards, did Van have to draw a card because she was the one bringing it around? I can't remember. Did she hold one up,
I don't remember.
or was she exempt from it because she's the card bearer?
Maybe.
Who knows?
The rules are very arbitrary. It's kind of just like,
Well, I feel like they're making them up as they go
yeah.
because they're teenagers who are
Also,
lost in the woods.
it's just wild that these teenagers went to death penalty. Like, we all were only half sure that he did it, but like, let's fucking kill him.
Right?
I
And
I
I
kind of thought
still,
since he made it out of last episode without dying yet, I was like, oh, maybe they're just gonna like have him tied up.
I think, I mean, we'll talk more later, I guess, when we get into the weird visions, but like, there's no way he makes it out of the wilderness, but I'm glad he's not dead yet.
I don't know. I feel like just kill me at this point. Like,
Right?
my will to live is not that
Well,
strong.
and Ty even when, getting back to then practicing how she's going to shoot him and trying to get her revved up for that. When she's like, what if I miss and blow his other leg off? And then Van's like, well, then maybe he'll beg for death. But like, you've crippled him now, which A is more of a liability on you guys because like, now you got to take care of him more. But
I just because adult Van is way more likable than young. Like young Van has like fully leaned into like
yeah,
the whatever of it all in the like Survivor younger version, and adult Van is more charming. I think.
yes,
Um,
absolutely.
I do think both of them are doing a good job with the character because it is her older, but yeah, I like don't. Ty and Van trick me sometimes in the flashback to liking them, and then I'm like, oh right, they're like talking
They're
about
awful
this
people.
being, yeah, they're just like, well, this will be hard for me to have to kill this man who we're gonna kill, but I don't care
Right.
about killing him. Um, I just okay. There's also like something that's like bothering me, and I don't know how to quite say it.
Okay.
Um, when Van had her death scene that wasn't a death scene. Remember in season one where she gets like fucking
Mauled
eaten
by
by a
wolf.
wolf? Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, people were mad because they felt that that was burying your gaze
Hmm.
when we thought Van was dead.
Hmm.
Jasmine Savoy Brown even told a story where she was like, she read that part of the script and was so mad that they killed Van because you can't bury your gaze.
Okay, but you can.
I think in a show like this, it is stupid to say that you can't bury your gaze
I
if
think.
it's about a flashback where people are supposed to all die or
Um,
mostly all
well,
die.
there's that, and I get it because at that time they were the only queer characters on the
Right.
show.
Right.
Because I don't think we knew Ben was.
I think we knew he was
You know, we
gay.
probably knew Ben was gay at
Yeah.
that point, um, but none of the other like Melissa was an extra in the background, if it was
I
even
don't
a main
remember
actress.
Melissa until like 2 episodes ago.
Yeah,
So,
and Shauna. I mean, I guess her and Jackie were having their little crush off, but
but like,
there was
yeah,
no whatever's happening now with her and Melissa. Um, there's definitely a merit to trying to avoid bury your gaze as a trope and
right.
all of that. If I'm with you, if it's a story where anyone can die and people are supposed to die, if you are not creating a queer character just to kill them, it's it shouldn't be
Yeah.
considered the same thing as like anyone can die. So
Because like, why don't Jackie and Shauna count for that then? Because there was like something, but it was
mhm,
like sapphic, homoerotic, but it wasn't like
right.
explicit. But I think like,
But if at the start of that episode was the first time that we saw that Van and Ty were
right,
like a thing, and then they
right,
were
right,
like,
right.
okay, now we're gonna kill her. That's different.
Right. That's what I kind of think. Like if it were just like, oh, just in that episode we learned that they're and then she dies real quick.
Hmm.
So inversely, I notice no one is saying that about Coach Ben. And this
No,
man is getting like torn apart and he is very slowly dying.
I think it's because it's a foregone conclusion that they're gonna bury that guy.
That's
There's no point
yes.
complaining about it at this point.
So I was just thinking about that with Ben. I'm like, man, this man is like, he's like a fucking body and terrifier if like the clown kept him alive for the whole fucking movie until the end. Like
Yeah.
the first episode, his leg gets fucking amputated because of a plane crash, and like he gets drugged. This man has been through a lot.
Hmm.
Um, yeah. So Melissa goes to visit Shauna. She gives her a knife holder thing, and Shauna's like,
Yeah.
"Why do you even like me?" And I'm wondering the same thing.
And I mean, I appreciate that Melissa's like, your ex-girlfriend, your ex-boyfriend both hated you or like didn't
Yeah,
treat you well, and I'm gonna treat you better because I can change you. Well, she doesn't want to change her. She's like, embrace who you are.
yeah.
I like the darkness or whatever, but like she if Melissa survives into the future, because I do think that's who Hillary Swank whenever she decides to show up,
We're getting pretty far along on this season here. She needs
right?
to pop up.
So I'm with you on that. Is that's probably likely who she's going to be is one of the survivors. Likely going to be Melissa. Shauna ditches her for Jeff as soon as they land, I assume. So, like,
Right. Which is what I assume Ty kind of did with Van too, right?
yes.
Yeah. To be
Yeah.
like, no homo, wait, no homo. Like we're not
Yeah.
because it understandably was whatever
Because
year in the 90s still.
yeah, and like in the trial last week, Coach even references that like before here, sure the team knew like it was an open secret, but like he had to help cover like he covered for them
Yeah.
when their parents were suspecting things. Like so like yeah, as soon as they got back to civilization, they were both like, okay, I guess we're straight again.
And they really repaid him for that covering
Mm.
up. Misty brings Coach a meal, and Colin, I cried. I was like, oh, sweet
When he
Misty.
when he's like, oh, what I do to deserve this? And it's like, oh, it's your last meal, you poor thing.
And like that actress is just so good.
She's fantastic.
And she, of all of them, which I think makes sense that Misty would feel the youngest, she feels the youngest, even though they're all
Hmm.
like around, supposed to be around the same age. And I know the actors are like way into their 20s,
Yeah,
but like she feels like a kid, right?
yeah.
Like, and her crying over Coach, I was just like, oh, this
Mm-hmm.
poor sweet dummy. And when she's like, you were my first
You're my first
boyfriend,
boyfriend.
you were my first amputation, like,
He's like, oh, okay.
and the look on his face when he's like, ah,
Yeah.
okay, like,
And like, I mean, he's resigned himself to like as soon as they got him in the cave,
I would say, yeah,
he was
he's
like,
been resigned. Yeah.
obviously they're going to. I don't know that he thought murder in this way,
Yeah.
but obviously he knew something. Like, there's there's no way they're just keeping me pinned up here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Um,
But yeah, it was heartbreaking between the two of them when she's like, I will miss you and like breaks down, and then when she's leaving, she's like, goodbye, coach. And
I feel like her and Nat are the only ones that see like all the rest of them are doing the Shauna thing where they're like puffing their chest, being like,
yeah,
oh, that's sad. Well, who cares? He deserves to die. And it's like,
which and we'll get there because we'll do the cave scene first, but like when they're at when they've got him set up on the firing range, not what well, Shauna can look him in the eye. She's the only one that continues to look. Everyone else is turned away and crying.
yep.
So
Um,
like,
yeah, Misty just breaks my fucking heart. And
mm-hmm.
he was the only one that was like good to her
Yeah,
remotely. Like, and she
and I
fucking
like,
drugged him.
and even in the trial when he's like, I didn't let you on the team because I knew it would be worse for you, so I put you in this position to like give you something.
Yeah.
God love him.
My poor sweet coach. Lottie and Aquila and Travis decide to go back to the cave. I really don't understand why we were doing this.
Because Lottie's all in on whatever is going to make these people trip balls and have visions, because then I can interpret the visions. And I mean, in this case, I'm thrilled with the vision.
Yeah.
But like, I do get when they finally get to the cave and Akila's like, maybe I don't want to do this. Like, yeah, maybe you don't want to go back into the poisonous cave.
I just didn't understand what the plan was. So they were like, when the rope stops, we'll pull you in. And it's like, okay, well, the rope's going to stop when she's having a vision, clearly.
Yeah, but that's the point, was like, as soon as you black out, we'll rush in to pull you out to make sure you're okay. Which then Lottie's like, no, no, we'll leave her for a second.
I I guess to me it was like, well, clearly she's not okay. And like, what if you interrupt the vision? Whatever.
Well,
But
that's why when Travis tries to wake her up when they pull her out, and Lottie's like, no, no,
yeah.
give her time.
But so Colin, what's the vision?
So she finds herself on the edge of a cliff, can't see the bottom, but then she notices there's a bridge. As she crosses it, she realizes it's Ben,
Like fully
strung out like he's
giant
Gulliver's Travels.
giant Coach Ben laying across. I did like that when she says, I couldn't see it was darkness, that we can kind of see its civilization.
Yeah, and I think they get it because, like, when Lottie's like, how did you feel? Like, you couldn't see it, but how did you feel? And she was like, it felt good and hopeful, and
Yeah.
like, so she realizes there is something good that Ben is going to lead them to or help them get there. Um,
I almost
so
feel
they
like
rush
they are
back
just going to
and
literally use his dead body for something, and that's what's going to get them.
perhaps, yeah, they're just going to find a little like 5 foot span
Yeah.
that they decide they don't want to try to jump, and they're just going to toss him over.
So we cut to Ben. He's looking fucking rough. He's holding that one goat. He looks so cute with the one goat. I'm like, this poor
Does.
guy. He's just like waiting for death, holding this animal.
Mm. So they drag him out to the firing range and put him up where they had drawn the little circle, which I thought they were further away from camp
I did
when they
too.
were trying to practice, but like they couldn't have dragged him that far.
No, I assume it was like the trees surrounding the tents or
Yeah.
something. Um, this shit is so upsetting. He's just like begging for his
He's so good
life.
in this scene.
Ugh.
And like when he's calling them all out, and then like when is it Jen is her name? The
I don't know what that girl's name is. She's just, I feel like she just popped up last episode.
I think she's been in a few, but yeah. When she goes to put the hood on, he's like, no, no, if you're gonna do this, you have to look me in the eye. And then, you know, like I said, she puffs up her chest and it's like, no, you don't deserve this. But then as she walks away, she's breaking down.
Yeah.
Like,
I hate them, Colin. I hate them.
yeah.
These like feral children suck. And like, you don't deserve that. Like, are you kidding me? This man didn't even, you've all eaten two people, and
Mm.
you're going to be like, you started a fire that didn't kill anyone, so you deserve this. Like,
Yeah, but he tried to kill them,
even though he didn't.
clearly
Yeah.
he didn't, and clearly most of you don't believe it anymore. It's just Shauna bullied you into it.
That's why I hate them. That is precisely why, because it's like, you all showed us that you did not think he did this, but
Mm.
Shauna being a nightmare, which again,
Which like, like, Shauna, why don't we just kill and eat Shauna? She's causing a lot of problems for us.
Colin, thank you. I really have felt like Gretchen Wieners, where I'm like, we should all just stab Shauna. Like, that's how I feel. Like, I don't understand why they're letting. This is what I don't understand, is why they're letting Shauna, even though Nat is the leader, they're letting Shauna control them. And I mean, this is such a like boring, lukewarm parallel, but it reminds me of like American politics, where it's like all of you people that said this was bad are now just like, yeah, sucking Trump's dick. Like, I don't understand.
No, it makes no sense to me.
And that's kind of what's happening here, right? Where it's like, but Shauna's like,
Shauna's awful and mean, and we keep going back, like they keep going back, like she's been through a lot. Absolutely. You all have
yeah,
at this point.
and yeah, at this point, it's like, sure, if we're keeping track, we're keeping score. Shauna's would be a little bit higher because she of the baby, but like, I don't know. They should have fucking eaten the baby because that's wasted meat. I don't know. Like, that's how I feel about the baby.
Agreed.
Um, yeah, and she's just like become so awful. So Lottie and Travis jump in and save him. I was very relieved.
Yeah.
But then quickly not really. Because Lottie's like, he's the bridge home. We saw this,
Yeah,
blah, blah,
and
blah.
she says Aquila had a vision, and like
Yeah.
he's our bridge home, and he's gonna help us or whatever. And the look Shauna gives Aquila, like Aquila's on the chopping block. Like,
Well, I do, because I don't think Aquila's someone who's gonna pop up. And we've also been having way too many people pop. Like, if Melissa pops up again, I'm like, we cannot have one more survivor pop up.
I think they can, if they're going to do that, someone else survived and is like causing them problems, that can be it. They
Right, it
can't have
has to
any
be.
more.
Yes, there cannot be any more.
But my hope is actually it's not Melissa and that it's Coach Ben and he survived and now he's out for revenge. He's finally able to walk again after 25 years.
If there was someone who deserved to kill all these people, it would be him. Like,
Right?
and also that wouldn't not track with the fact that they're seem the person whoever this is mostly harassing Shauna.
Yeah. But it's definitely Melissa because she left her for Jeff.
Well, but I think Dana said that she thinks it could be like Melissa's sister, which I could see too.
That could be, yeah, it could be someone related
Yeah.
that has found out what happened there somehow or something like that. Maybe.
Yeah. That's what I think it could be. But that like
Uh,
it has to be one of those two.
yeah. Um,
So
so they
yeah,
save him.
they
And
don't kill him.
I thought for sure that they were going in to like do him harm because they were so pissed that he survived, or that they were just gonna, because I think this is the point where you see a rope, and I think I was like, okay, maybe they're just gonna cut him loose or like drag him off to the woods and be like, oh, I guess he escaped.
I thought they were gonna kill him. When we
Yeah.
see Shauna and Melissa, I was like,
And then they do
oh,
something so much worse.
it really right. Like you're paralyzing this man who only had one leg.
Yeah.
And also
like
that feels like you mentioned earlier, that just feels like more work for them.
right, because like I mean
Because
you
he
can keep
literally
him
can't walk.
sitting in the animal pen now, but like if you need to do anything with him, move him anywhere, and like I guess Misty will take care of him again, but like that's gonna get infected that you used this dirty old knife to.
And I was just so mad at Shauna for convincing Melissa to do it. I
Mm.
fucking hate Melissa for being a fucking
For
dope.
doing it.
And like I just
But then they go off to their tent to have, I presume, their first lesbian sex.
I guess just everyone's like, oh, they're holding hands.
Yeah, I do like the look that Van gives, like, oh, this is happening, I
Yeah.
guess.
Like, oh, we're not the only gays here. All right. It's like when you see another like queer person at an event, you're like, all right, cool. We're good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually like had to look
So,
away when they
yeah.
slit his.
And
Ooh.
that's why, partially, I mean, I just don't see him surviving this, like actually making it out of the woods, because there's absolutely no way after what they put him through that he would be like, yeah, I'll cover for you guys.
No, I wouldn't. I sure wouldn't, unless I'm like, I'll cover for you guys because I'm gonna fucking kill all of you. That's the only way.
I'm biding my time.
Yeah, I'm waiting till I can get back on
I've
my
got,
foot, and
I've got several years of physical therapy ahead of me, and then I'm coming for you.
that's the only way I could be like, all right, that's why he survived, to kill them. All right, I understand. Yeah, and I understand mob mentality, blah blah blah. It's just I'm getting so mad at them. I don't want to end up hating all of them, and we are very close to that. One of them's already dead of the two that I left that I like. Like I know where Nat ends. She died last season, so like, ugh. And like I hate that Nat probably was the most normal of them.
Yeah.
Like she dealt with it in a way where like, yeah, she had like addiction issues. But like
she wasn't dragging other people down. Well, her and Travis were having their like toxic,
right,
whatever,
but like she wasn't like killing other people and like denying like shit happened,
murdering her child's dog to win a Senate seat, whatever it was she did.
I don't even fucking know, Colin. I just know she did it. Like it feels like Nat was kind of like the heart of the survivors. And now they don't have that. So yeah, I am curious where the show will go. But yeah, now that we're at the end, where do you want to see the show go this season?
I want Coach to heal his foot somehow magically and hop off into the wilderness and be fine forever. Which isn't
he ends up in Canada, married to a nice man named Colin Smith.
Exactly.
He comes out of the woods, is like, weird, I'm in Canada.
Weird. Well, that's supposedly they're somewhere in the Canadian wilderness, isn't it?
Oh, is it? I don't fucking know.
I don't know. I think, well, I want Misty and Walter to repair their whatever they had going on, because I really like them together, and I think by the end of the season they will, because I think they'll piece enough together that they will need each other's help to to figure out what was going on with Lottie.
Yeah.
I want. I don't necessarily want her to die. I do want Shauna to finally get a bit of comeuppance.
Right. Some kind of
Just a little
retribution.
touch.
Like something.
Yeah.
And hell, maybe adult Shauna will turn it around after this moment Lottie's at. I don't think so, but maybe.
Maybe. Who knows? But I really just I want to know who's messing with them, I guess. I assume that's gonna be who killed Lottie.
That's what I do kind of think that. It's like, but I also really do think I'm still like Ty is my number one suspect. But yeah, no, I want them to figure that out. And I
Yeah.
also, again, we can have one more new survivor pop up and that's it. Because
Yeah.
like things like
I think we've firmly established well, I guess with Travis and Coach, there's 14 of them out there, right? Because it's the 12 girls and
is it okay?
well, just based on the
Feels like there's so many of them, and so many of them have already
I'm gonna
died.
say based on the title, but I know it's based on 12 Angry Men, but it was the 12 Angry Girls and Travis was the
Yeah.
title. And I did try to, I think when they were going around doing the cards, I think I counted 12 of them.
It feels like it's never all of them though when they do like those kind of things.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't know, but
But so it's 12 of them
if
and
we've established
Travis.
there's 14 of them out there with like 12 girls, Travis and
Well,
Coach.
no, there had to be more then because 12 girls, Travis and Coach, the girl that got pushed off the cliff, Jackie, and then has no one else died? Did no one die
People
in the plane
people died in
crash?
the plane crash because Travis's dad died.
Right.
The pilot died. I think some of the girls died because when they went back,
That's what I
when Nat
mean. Like,
and Travis went back, there was bodies in the wreckage, wasn't there?
I think so. But are
Because
those the only two girls of the
I feel like
survivors
there
in the
was like
plane
a fully
crash that
like
died?
burnt corpse in there when they went back to see
Mm.
what was going on. Um,
Well,
so, but I feel like 12 is the number of girls, and if that's the case, then we've already met about 6 of them surviving plus Travis.
yeah, that's too many
So,
already. Yeah. No.
so one more has to be it because I assume they're not going to start eating each other again until winter comes.
Yeah.
Like I assume
Well,
there's going to be some sort of massive frost or problem that all their animals and crops dies, and
right.
they have to resort to that again.
Well, and the thing with me is that Misty would know like Misty would already know all of this.
Hmm.
And it feels weird that Misty, when she does things like calls meetings, she wouldn't call in every single survivor. Like that
Right.
feels like she would.
Especially in season 1 when they thought someone was trying to blackmail them.
Yes.
I mean, someone was, but when they were trying to figure out who was like targeting them and that type of thing, like I guess at that point they thought Lottie was in an institution still, so like they didn't
Right.
need to bring that up, but at the same time,
And like they
yeah,
didn't know where Van was, but I feel like Misty would.
yeah.
I feel like Misty would keep track of every single one of them.
Well, they must have known where because Ty goes to see her in season 2. Like that's
But
how she
isn't it
gets.
like, doesn't she have to figure out where she is or no? I thought it was like they didn't know where Van was.
Mm,
That was
I'd have to go
season
back
2
and
was
watch.
10 years ago. How could I know? Well, Colin, thank you for joining me. Thank you for filling in for Zach. Thank you all for listening. Zach will be back next week, I think, probably. And then you'll get back to Zach editing these videos instead of me, so they'll be better edited. And if you like My Bloody Judy, you can find us on all podcasting platforms and on YouTube where we do video recordings. Make sure to give us a nice rating and a nice little review. And if you want to follow us on social media, we're at My Bloody Judy on all social media platforms. I'm at ENX Carlos. Colin, where can everyone find you?
I am csmith03 on Blue Sky.
And we will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.